let's get started. Yeah, welcome everyone. This is Patrick or Payload Pat, and we are here again as far as another episode of Kubernetes. Pretty much, what I call it? I done forgot the name of it, whatever. But we're here just to chill as far as do some Kubernetes practice and learning. So we're going to be going through KokeKlouds's mock exam. It's typically, I believe, like 20 questions, and we're just going to work through it together. Typically, I like to ask people to get involved because I can just go through these things and just zone out sometimes. So I want to make sure that it's a collaborative effort. So let's go ahead and open this up here and get started. So won't waste any of your time. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Make sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay, screen one. Okay. And let me know if we're all good as far as we can see.
Gotcha.
Okay, you can see. All right, great. So let me just do a refresh of this page here. And let's knock this one out. So okay, cool. And these are all like new questions that we're probably going to see in the exam. And I'll share the other documents as far as the other GitHub repos that has like questions that you can create your own cluster. So if you don't have a cluster, I recommend using Kind or I think it's K3D or KD3. I always mix them up. But you want to make sure you have a cluster locally at home on your device so you can just spin up some things and just mess around there. So if you don't have access to that or you haven't installed a cluster before, it's not very difficult at all. I can actually send you all the quip that I have that has that information on how to set it up on your device. So I'll actually send that to you all in the chat as well. I don't think I have it on hand right now. Actually, I might. Let me see. Quip. It's K8's Cadence. That's what it is. That's what I call these sessions. So yeah, I'm a little rusty, guys. But this is a quip. I'll put it in the chat here. Just a nice way to get started because I know we have a couple of people who have never joined the session before. So yeah, so let's go. Let's get started. So let's do it. So this question here is saying a pod called Color app has been created in the default namespace. This pod logs access. These logs can be accessed using kubectl logs command from the studio node. Is currently displaying color is pink output. Update the pod definition file to make use of the environment variable with the value green. And let's recreate this pod. So rule number one, whenever we're as far as answering a question, you always want to make sure that you're in the right context. So in this case, it's always given to you in exam format, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm Freddie. But yeah, they give you the option to make sure you set a even if you're not sure, just do it. It will never hurt to make sure you're in the right context because you can do everything right and in the wrong context, you won't get rewarded the answer. So first things first, I'll go ahead and take care of the first question here. So we have a pod. It's called that. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at the pod. So the first thing that we want to do is says um, we can access the logs. The pod can access the logs using here. So we need to update the pod definition file to make use of the environment variable green. So we can do, let's run this command first, just to show that it's showing pink right now, I think, right? So color is pink. Color is pink. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and clear that. So let's go and edit this pod. So all we need to do is do a kubectl or kedit, and then the name of the pod. Wait, kedit. Oh wait, I need to put pod. Kedit pod, and then this is going to give us the pod definition file here. So if we scroll down, this is important stuff right here, the container. So this container is running this command. Color is, as you see, $ app color, which is going to be a variable. And that variable is coming from this here, which is environment name app color. So this is a very simple question. We just need to do this literally. Change this from pink to green, right?
Yeah,
And
so we're updating the YAML file, and once
mhm.
we save it here, we're good to go.
Well, sometimes it depends because things like this that you change, it may require you to actually delete the other pod. And from what it says here, it says recreate this pod. So more than likely, we're gonna have to recreate the pod. So,
Okay.
but yeah, good question. I think someone said something in the chat here. Oh, you raised your hand, Toby. What's up? You hear CJ?
I don't think he got no mic. It ain't showing no mic by his name.
Yeah, it's not. It's showing like he's dialing in. Um,
Yeah.
if you have a question, TJ, you can put it in the chat or maybe rejoin. But yeah, we'd definitely love to hear from you. But yeah, but yeah, great question. I'm not sure actually. I think that was Finn. So yeah, let's go ahead and do. So I most of the time you can do a W. What's the name? I forgot what it's called. The what? The wait. Someone just joined. So we do this WQ. I just do X. It's the same thing as WQ without typing another letter. But as you see here, this doesn't like that. So I'm just gonna do a W. As far as a colon X, and then now it says it's saved. So I'm gonna do an alias. I just like to do this. I just started this the other day. So alias KF equals this. So cube CTL replace dash force and then dash F, and you'll see what this means. So this is just cube CTL replace, and it's gonna force the pod to get changed. Or the I would say the resource to get forced, and then the minus F is gonna be the file following the file. So if I do this and is it source E?
Oh, it's gonna give you the list of, you're trying to get to the list of all of your like shortcuts, right? Like your shortcut commands.
Yeah, it's just this is one that I just like to use. But oh man, just doing that, I think I lost my pod that I just edited, but
Let
whatever.
me look it up. Hold on. Hmm.
So I got to go back and do this, right? So I'm gonna do green. Just changing the color to green. So So if I do that
Aliases.
here, it gives us this message here. So it didn't make any changes to that pod. So I need to do a KF and then the name of this pod. And it should, what it's doing is going to delete my pod and then it's going to recreate the pod with the new environmental variable because that's just something that it can't update on the existing pod. So and you always want to do the dash force because sometimes it's going to take forever for some things to get forced deleted. You can even add the dash grace period equals 0 command like flag as well, and that can speed things up too. But even still, I don't know why this one is taking so long. Okay, but there we go. So we can now run this command again. So it was saying pink originally, it should say green now. So as you see, it's going to be doing the green and it's going to do it every like couple seconds. So that's the first question, and we should be done with that. Does anyone have any questions regarding that one? I know I kind of was talking a lot on this one. So
What
any
does
questions?
what does the alias command do?
The alias command, a good question. So the alias command it just allows you to like use shortcuts. So um you can do like alias
So
y.
question. Let me just jump in real quick. So I have a
Mhm.
video that I saved on taking the actual exam, a few
Yeah,
like the most helpful aliases you can use.
yeah.
So a lot of the aliases that you can put together will help you get through the exam by having shortcuts in terms of like typing stuff out so you don't make mistakes. I think that's what he was gonna tell you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll post that in the chat for everyone once I find
That's
it because it's
great.
on my phone.
Yeah. That's cool. Because you just don't want to spend too much time creating aliases for things that you're not going to be using that much. So of course, cube CTL, like, don't type that in a million times. But yeah, so the alias is Keisha is literally just a way that you can just use shortcuts. So instead of me typing in that, if I do echo KF $ KF, why isn't it doing it? It should have echoed it. Did it? You did KF, right? I don't know why it's not doing it, but it should have like showed me the flag that I used. But essentially it just allows you to like go through things faster that you're going to be typing in like multiple times, so you can just save yourself the hassle. Just like it's literally just a variable that you
Like a
can
variable, yeah, that's what I was gonna
yeah, that's
say.
all it is,
Okay.
just a variable. Yeah. Um, so question number 2. Does anybody want to, drive the wheel on this one? On anyone, but I'm willing to do it. Nah, I'm just kidding. But if anyone feels comfortable giving it a try, again, this is a safe space. You're not, being shunned or anything. This is just a learning environment. And if you need to, get help walking through it, we can. But this one looks like it's related to a service account and
Yeah.
cluster roles and such. So I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of iffy about these in the beginning of me learning this stuff. So um, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be on the exam too. So anyone want to give it a try? If not,
Can
it's
you guys
okay.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Toby. I can hear you
Oh,
now.
y'all can hear me? Oh, okay, cool. My bad. I'm at work, so I was like, let me see what you
Oh,
guys are doing.
yeah. Hey, bro, how you doing?
Oh, what's up? My bad. My apologies. I couldn't get it to work properly, so I was like, what the heck? But, I mean, if you guys want me to, I can. I mean, I ain't doing nothing. I'm waiting to
Okay,
get
all
off.
right, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So let's go ahead and try to solve this one. So
All right,
so yeah,
so I would do. Let's see. Let me read it. It says we have created a service account. So I would go ahead and create the service account. So QCTL. Let's see. Create essay. It's been a while.
so look,
Red.
so we already
Huh?
got one because it says it's already created for us. So this one is created. So we actually don't
Oh,
have
we
to
You
already
redo
don't need
that.
to
created it. Oh,
describe it.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
A cluster role called blah 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 blah. Says identify the permissions of the service and write down the answer in the file. Oh, just identify the permissions. So then
that's
you could
it.
just
Hmm.
yeah, just go to it and then in the let me see which one is the permissions. You got to find the verbs. So that's going to be in the cluster role.
Okay.
Um, so we need to go look in the cluster role and see what the verbs are. And does it say change the permissions or let me see, identify permissions down the answer file and then format resources verbs. Okay, she's supposed to format it, basically echo that to the op to slash red whatever,
Yep.
whatever's in that cluster row. That's pretty much it, Samaki.
Perfect. So yeah, so that's exactly what we need to do. So what we're doing is doing kubectl get cluster role. So the cluster role is just has your roles, your permissions. Like in AWS or any other um, type of environment where you're getting like roles and you have users and you attach them to certain groups. That's essentially what it's doing. So we're looking for the cluster role called red role. And to do that, we can actually get the verbs or the permissions in this case by doing get cluster role and the name of the role and the output is going to be YAML. You can use YAML or JSON. It's up to you. But as we see here, the verbs that we have are get, list, and watch, and it's within the deployment. So you're able. This person is able to get, list, and watch all of the deployments here. I guess in this cluster. So it says so we need to do an echo. So let's do an echo, and then it says resource has to be in the same format. So the resource is going to be deployments, right? And then
Correct.
right, and then it says verbs, and then it's going to be get list, get list and watch, right? Watch.
Right.
So that's literally all we got to do. And then we just got to redirect the output. So, if you do this here, that's just going to automatically redirect the data to this file here. If you needed to append it, you'll do like the double one here. But in this case, it's just asking us to, send an output there. And you always want to check
Then
your work.
verify it. Yes.
Exactly. So you want to do a cat and then you can just do the same
The
thing. And then
file.
now it's a
Yes.
resource. So that's good. So perfect. So that looks
Great.
good to me. The resources were added is correct and the verbs used are correct. So that's perfect. So that one was not too bad for us. Um
Yeah, that'll be
but yeah,
easy.
that's how we get that one knocked out. So that's great. That's great. So good job, Toby or TJ.
Yeah,
So
no problem.
So the next one, so we got this one here. So and we may not be able to answer all of these questions. I mean, I'm down to do all 20. But if you guys feel like it's too much or halfway, we can just stop it halfway because I like to have the discussions like we have now because that can take some time per question. So I want you guys to feel the benefit of figuring out what answers we got right or wrong and such too. So that's good. So the next one, says we have a pod called Elastic App. It's running in the default namespace, and the YAML file for this pod is available there. And the single application container in this pod writes logs to the file var log Elastic App log. One of our logging mechanisms needs to read these logs and send them to an upstream logging server. But we don't want to increase the read overhead for our main application. So let's recreate this pod with an additional sidecar container that will run along with the application container and print to the standard output by running that command. You can use the busybox image for the sidecar. So this is an interesting one. This one actually is one that we were just talking about. So this is actually good. So Terrell, you got what you asked for. So yeah, we can go ahead and run through this one together. So yeah, let's do it. I can do this one if you guys are okay, or someone wants to volunteer.
No, I think this one you're gonna have to take the cake on that one because I've never. Well,
I
go
mean,
ahead and run through it because I'm
I know what
curious
you
to hear how
do.
you do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. Okay. So we'll just tag team this one. Okay. So
Yeah.
sidecar essentially again is just another pod running concurrently, another container running concurrently on a pod, right? So don't make it too big of what it is, because literally this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy all this crap the same way. So I'm literally going to do Shift V, that's the visual mode. I just typed Shift V and I'm just going to type down. I'm going to copy all of this, right? And then I'm gonna press Y to yank it. And yeah, I'm just a Vim nerd, but whatever. But now I'm gonna go down here because I want to
That's
paste
good,
my
man. I think I struggle with using Vim sometimes. I've used Nano a lot more.
man. Whatever floats your boat is literally, this million ways to to skin the cat. So it's really up to you. But this, I just got used to using it. Um, but yeah, so this is what we're doing. I'm literally just copying what they already gave me. I'm not doing any additional work. I'm just literally doing what it says here. You know what I'm saying? So now it says that we need to run this command in this pod, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to literally delete this. I'm just going to delete. Okay, wait. I'm just do dd, 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 delete, 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 delete. And then I'm going to go back here and go press I to get back into insert mode, and then press enter, space, and then I'm going to do this, right? So bin shell. So we're going to use a shell command, and this is the command that we're going to do. So I'm literally just going to copy this bad boy here, and hopefully this should work. I don't want to make this complicated. I want to do is the least amount of steps as possible, all right? So what I did here was I named the pod sidecar, and it's a sidecar container. And we're running this command tail minus f of var log elastic app log. And if you see here, we have volume mounts, right? So the volume mount is going to be in respect to the container itself. So in this case, the sidecar container within this mount path is going to be var log. So if I this var log and this var log on the elastic app, they're two separate mounts. They're two separate like folders technically, in the sense of not in accessibility, but in this, because this can be, I can name this var anywhere else. I can place this volume anywhere I want. But in this case, we just named it the same thing just for the sake of this video, I mean, for the sake of this activity. But more importantly, they are sharing this same volume. So if I make any changes to this, if I add or update anything to that volume, both of those pods, both of those containers are going to be able to see that data. Because as we know, containers are ephemeral. So if there's anything that happens to the containers and they shut down, it close, or something happens, all that data is going to be gone with it. So this is the importance of volumes and having persistent volumes and such like that. So this type of volume is an empty directory, and the empty directory is just the volume that all pods, that all containers within this pod will be able to share together, which is a really convenient thing. So I think this is all we need to do. I could be wrong, but we're gonna test. We have to test everything that we do. So does anybody have any questions, at least in the meantime, right now? I think somebody had a comment on
The
here.
only question I had was, did you have to change the busy box to just busy box besides 1 point, dash
Oh,
128?
You can use a busy
But
box image. You're right.
I
That's a
mean,
good point. No, good point, because it doesn't say that particular
yeah, it
version.
doesn't say dash, so I think you might. I'm not sure. I haven't
No,
actually
no, you're right.
run
You're
a
right.
few
You're
tests.
absolutely right. Yeah, it doesn't say busy box one point anything. So, I think someone else said something. Haha, you really. I appreciate it, guys. Don't make me blush. Um, it hurts right now.
Looking at.
Uh, but it's all good. But yeah, so this is simple as that. So it's not very difficult. There again, I think we may get confused with the different types of like the init containers and stuff. You know, those things come into play later. But a sidecar is literally just saying, copy this stuff, put it what it asks, you know, for you to create. It's literally telling us to create a and all this sidecar is doing is just reading the files that, so it's doing an echo date. This is just reading the information from that same volume. That's all it's doing for us here. So I'm going to go ahead and press escape X, and that's it, right? So remember, we have that. I don't know if KF is actually going to do anything now. I don't. It didn't seem like it was. I'm going to try it. So like we did before, we're gonna have to recreate this pod. So let me see if it does it here. So it's gonna delete the pod, and it's gonna tell us if we have any errors or anything, because I need to make sure that that command, that tail command, actually works. So it's gonna take its time. So it's deleting the original pod, and it's gonna recreate this one for us. So hopefully it works, and I can show you how we can test this as well, by running the anyone knows how you will be able to test this actually.
Not I, sir.
Okay, that's fine. So you all, whenever you're looking to test things, especially on a pod level, you want to use the kubectl exec command, where you can like exec into the pod, the container itself, and you can
Okay.
run commands ls and all that good stuff as you're physically in the pod. I mean, in the container. Sorry if I continue to say container and pod. I have a hard time like correcting that, but I don't want to, be wrong, and say the wrong thing. So let's take a look at our pod. Let's get the pod and see if there's any container error or something like that. Doesn't show any problems there. It looks okay. It said they're both ready. So let's check if we're both ready. So let's do this. Actually, let me take a look. Okay, I named it sidecar, right? So let's do a K exec minus IT. And this is where we're gonna do. We're gonna do a dash dash. Wait, K exec IT. The name of the pod is this, and then minus C sidecar. Because I mean, we got two containers in there, so you got to be specific on what pod or what container you want to actually, jump into. And we can just run a shell command, right? So ls, look, we're inside the actual sidecar container that we just created. So
Oh, that's
if
lit
I
right there.
that's great. It's amazing. I love it, right? So you're inside this command now, so you can run commands like whatever, right? So let's actually, so it says tail minus f varlog elasticlog app. So we should be able to, in theory, cat this. So let's do this. Let's first of all cd var log, right? Let's actually see if this is attached. Oh, it is, right? And what do we have here? Elastic app log. So let's do this. Let's actually tail this command. I mean this file. So tail minus f. So tail minus f is gonna follow the command, right? And let's see what it shows us. Boom. This is what a sidecar is. We're able to, both of these are connected to that same volume. So if I create a pod here, and I'll show you something too. I always like to do this as well, right? So I'm gonna touch a file, touch test file, right? Um, yeah, I'm just gonna say hello. Okay, hello. Right. And this is like outside of what we need to be doing, but just to show you guys the value of this. So so now I need to exit out of this, right? So matter of fact, let's do a ls, and we see, let me remove test. So now we just have last app log and test file.yaml, right? So let's exit out of this container. and we're gonna do the same thing instead of sidecar. Forgot the name of it. I don't know the name of this one here. Shoot. What I could do is let me look at this. The name of the app is Elastic App. So I can exit off of that. I can quit, and let's go ahead and minus C here and then go into the Elastic app, and we're gonna do the same thing. So let's cd /var /log ls, and look what you have here. We are sharing the same volume, so whatever I do in one volume is gonna show up in the other one. So that's what a volume looks like when we're sharing them within a pod. So hopefully that debunks a lot of things for you. But this is a really good question. I know I wanted to focus a lot on this one because there was quite a bit of people who were having trouble with this concept. So hopefully that was hopefully I explained it okay. Let me see. Gotta run, Keisha. Oh, my pleasure. See you, Keisha. I think she probably already left. But yeah, that's my homie. Perfect. That is true what she said. If you do understand, because literally Docker is just another like way of accessing kind of the same stuff. But great. So are we okay to move on? Anyone has any questions? Anything lingering? Anyone confused? Did I go too fast? Or do I need to reiterate anything on this? Because I want to make sure that we are all comfortable with setting up the sidecars.
I think the question that I have for the sidecar is, okay, how do they operate independently, or are they aware of one another, right? Like, are they checking in on the other sidecar? Well, let me see. The sidecar does it check in on the main pod or the original pod to make sure that it's still there and it's still doing it, or do they just operate independently?
Well, they're independent in the sense of whatever they're because this pod typically what a sidecar does is it's useful for logs. So you're able to like read logs or send logs or push logs to something else. So that's kind of what it's for. But they can be totally separate things, but they're within the same pod. Naturally they kind of know of each other because like pods you can like share data with one another, right? But they don't need to necessarily know what they're doing.
Communicate.
Yeah, they don't necessarily need to communicate, but they are able to, especially when you have the same volumes and such. Like, yeah, they can see what they're doing, at least from that pod, from that volume perspective initially. But you can definitely make sure that they communicate because the IP addresses and stuff are going to be like similar, so they should be able to like ping and stuff like that, unless ping is disabled or something, which I think it is by default. So yeah, they're separate things, totally separate, but they're on the same physical they're on the same pod, or same cluster, within the same cluster. So hopefully that explained that. Is Terrell here? Are you good, Terrell? Any questions on that one? Was that helpful?
I'm good, and I'll be able to rewatch it. That's the best part about you recording it, so I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. Take your time with it, and I'll try. I usually try to get the videos uploaded within the same day. I've been pretty good with it, so um, yeah. Hopefully that's helpful. So that's good. This one just joined. Hello, William. I don't know if that's you that just joined, but okay. All right, awesome. So good. So yeah, let's move on here. So there is a next question where there's a sample script located at root on the student node. We need to update this script to add a command to filter display target port for only the service using JSONPath. I love JSONPath. I hated it 2 months ago. I'm not gonna lie, but I actually like it.
I
It's not bad.
I haven't touched it yet, so yeah, you'll be taking the wheel of this.
Okay, all right. Unless anyone else wants to give it a shot. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's fine. I'll knock it out. Don't worry. Because I was stressing about this so much that I just kind of like dove in it quite a bit. So, so JSON path is simply just another method to like grab information from an actual object in Kubernetes or resource. So let's first off, like this is going to be empty, right? I think it just says bin bash. Okay, so it's just showing that it's a shell script, right? So to do this, what we need to do is get the target port for the service here. So what we first need to do is do a kubectl get service and the service name, right? So we're getting the service name. Oh, oops. Right. Then I'm going to do output JSON. This is what I like to do first. I'm going to show you two ways to do this, right? And you guys just tell me which one is easier for you, and you just determine that. But the easiest one for me is this way. So we first need to figure out how the layout of this stuff is, right? So it says we need to get the target port. So where is the target port here? So target port is where? Okay, it's right here, right? All right. And you're like, how in the hell am I going to get the target port? So first thing we need to do is just look over here. So AKMS. I always remember AKMS. API version, kind, metadata, sec. It really doesn't matter if you remember that or what. It's not important. It's just showing that this is a top level thing, right? So anything under spec is here, right? So all this other stuff is under spec, and then you also have status as well. That is its own thing. So first thing we need to do is let's do so we can do this, right? JSON path. So it's going to be equals, right? So it's going to be dot spec. Do dot spec. It's going to give us all the spec stuff, right? So we got all the spec stuff. So now we need to go down further. So we got dot spec, and now we need to go down to ports, right? So if you're just looking here, so spec, we're not looking for the cluster IPs. We're not looking for the internal traffic policy. We're looking for ports. And if we see that ports here, it's a list. So now I need to do dots ports, right? Ports, and then let's do this. So it's a list. So it needs to be, let's try 0. And then
Question: did you copy this out from the actual documentation? I wasn't looking
what?
real quick.
What, the
This,
JSON path?
yeah. Well, not the path, but the actual. Oh, okay. All right. It's not that long. I thought this whole thing was the actual um command that you're running. I was like, why is this long? What
Oh,
you're
no, no,
doing
no.
is
This is just the output. This right here is the output of the just the dot spec, right? And then now I'm going to break it down to getting to that target port, right? So
okay.
let me see, target. And I may be wrong
Sorry
on
about
this, but yeah, let me see. Boom, there you go. All right, so let me clean this up and show y'all what I did. So what I did was I said so we got the service minus O output is JSON path. So it's going to be, we went to dot spec, dot ports, and then 0, because the 0 is because it's a list. So within this list, I'm looking for the target port. So if we go back and look at the original one. No, not dot spec. Stop it. Right. So we went to dot. So it's dot spec. It's always a dot before. I don't know why, but it's a dot spec dot ports because we got here. So and then from ports, it's a list. So we can't just do dot ports dot target port. It has to be dot ports 0 because it's a list. So this list is showing here. It's only one like official like list here really, but it's 0, right? So within that list, we need to go ahead and find the target port, and it gave us the 9376 when we did it, right? So we go back to what I had originally here, and we found it, and that's here. So now it's telling us we need to do this. Okay, I need to take my medicine. Um, Let me do cube. So when we're doing commands like bash scripts, the aliases won't necessarily work. So you always want to make sure that you're putting in the full thing, right? So I'm gonna do kubectl. So first thing I need to do is echo, and I'm just gonna control E to get to the end, and then we're gonna pipe this to this, right? But remember, if I pipe it, it's gonna automatically overwrite that bash, that bin bash. So I need to do an append. I need to append this to this file. So now it should spit this out here. So let me do a cat here. And now you see that it didn't erase this, because if I just did it the one arrow, it's gonna erase this bin bash thing. So you just do the dot, the dash, the greater than signs twice, and it's going to just go right under. It's going to do a new line, and it's going to do this here. And now if I just do like a shell, like this command, wait, the shell here, it gives us the actual command. So it's running the command for us. So that's pretty much what it acts. And I did mention that there's two different ways to do this, right? I found out this new way. I don't know how useful it is. I don't think it's too useful for me yet because I found the way that works for me. But you can also use JQ. I think it's like I don't know what it even stands for, like JSON query. I don't know what it really stands for. If someone knows, that you guys can say it. But this is how you can use this as well. So K get what is it? K get service. The name of the service is a service here, and then we can do a output thing JSON. Then I can do a JQ minus C paths. This is just like, I'm not going to say it's a flex, but it is not helpful for me at all. But grep minus I, and then I'm going to do target port. So yeah, this is another way. This might be easier for you all actually to do it this way. So you can do the same thing that I did before. If you don't feel comfortable with doing the other way, this may be a better way to do it, to master it this way, because it's never going to really change. So all I'm doing is doing kubectl, get the service, the name of the service. We're going to output it in JSON. JQ is kind of a tool it's like a prettier. I don't know if you guys like use Python, yeah, like to prettier, like I think it's a something like a function or something. But what it's doing is, I don't even know what this minus C means. I saw it in a video the other day and I just remembered it. But it's looking for the paths that we have, and it gives us a full list. So now within that paths, matter of fact, let me just do it without the grep. It gives us every piece. So API version, kind, metadata dot creation time step, metadata dot name, metadata dot namespace, spec dot cluster IP, right? And remember, we're looking for the target port. So if you guys are not really comfortable with the zero and the list stuff, this actually does it for you. So all you're gonna literally do is just do the same, you know, dot, it'll be dot spec dot ports zero target port. So if you guys are having a hard time with JSONPath, it may look like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But this may be the easier way for you to do it, getting started, because it kind of just reads it out for you. So all you're gonna do is just replace all of this stuff with dot spec, dot ports, zero, and then dot target port, and that will give you the option there. And if you have used awk before, um, AWK, it's the same like type of form, like layout, where you pretty much put the stuff in there and then dot spec, dot ports, and etc. But just remember that. But hopefully that was that was helpful. But yeah, anyone has any questions on this one? And it's only worth 1 point, so you want to like kind of like rush through this, get it out of the way, because it's really gonna cause you hassle and end up being very annoying. It takes a lot of time to do it any other way. But was that helpful for anyone? Did you guys get that? Did it make sense?
Yeah, that was very helpful because I think I came across it when I took one of the mock exams.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one from Udemy, and I was kind of stumped. I mean, like I knew what the JSON, what like the output was. I just was having trouble going through the docs to get it done correctly. So I appreciate you
Yeah,
showing me this.
yeah, for sure. And I think in a cheat sheet as well, it kind of tells you a little bit of stuff too. Let me go in the cheat sheet. I think it says it in there. Um, so let's go down. And okay, so you can do stuff like this, JSON path, users, and stuff like that. So they have it in there, just to give you like an idea of SARS, like the syntax of how it should look. But this is just using for the config view, but you can use it for other things as well. But I think that's the only
Okay.
like reference of it in here. Oh wait, well, JSON path support. Yeah, I don't know this stuff. Okay.
This is where I kept ending up at. I was looking at the JSON path support, and I was like, hold on,
Oh
what?
yeah. See, this is confusing because like this they're using like what you call it, like regular expressions and stuff. So this will probably get, but you see the JQ, there you go. But yeah, I think
Ah,
the JSON path, the JQ tip, I was like, yo, I gotta remember that. So I may not even remember it like next week, but I'm trying to like make sure that it's enforced. But very, very cool, very cool. So we're gonna move on. And again, just repetition is key with this stuff because you may remember it this week and you may forget it. So,
yeah,
oh, you got it, Terrell. Oh, I think he already left a few
yeah.
minutes
Terrell
ago.
had to drop. He said he had to go help his son. But I'm
Okay.
gonna stay on for the next 10 minutes. I gotta drop as well. I gotta get ready
Okay.
for this presentation tomorrow. But yeah, man, I'm
Oh, great.
here.
Sounds good. And anyone else want to chime in, you guys feel free as well. So it's all love. Okay, awesome. So it's telling us to create a service account called this, and then need to create a cluster role with full permissions on all resources in the core API group under default namespace in cluster one. Find and create a cluster role binding. So this is a handful of stuff that they want us to create, and it's worth 6 points, so pretty hefty. So, um, yeah, this one is quite a bit. So let's just take our time with it, right? So let's do a K create. That's a that's a service account. That's just a short way of putting service account, right? And it created. And
Yep.
if you ever want to know how to get the like shortcuts, you could do K API. I think it's K get what API resources, or what is it called? I forgot. kubectl so API resources. Yeah, there it goes. Right. And it just gives you like a list of everything. So you can look. So you can see
Oh,
here.
nice. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, man. These are like the shortcut names. So whenever you're looking at that, or if saying you're creating a file like like by itself, and you're like, I don't remember, is it V apps V1, whatever, you can use this for it to tell you exactly what it is. So very helpful. Command there,
Yeah.
like network policy, you can just put netpol and
Could you drop that in the chat real quick just so I can save it?
of course, man, gotcha. So
Cube
kubectl AP, yep,
API
resources.
resources.
Yep. So here I'll put it in there for you. Um, there you go there. All right, so we did the very first thing, right? Um, So create a service account, and then we need to create a cluster role called this. So let's do that. So kubectl create cluster role, and then we're gonna name it pink role, right? So it says full permissions. So in cluster one. So first off, I always get this wrong, right? kubectl create, right? I need to do dash dash context is equal to cluster one. So it knows the context that we're doing this in, right? The next thing that we need to do is says full permissions on all resources in the core API group. So full permissions means all. So I guess what the dash as verb, right? So dash as a verb is going to be then you can do anything on all resources, and then I think dash as resources should also be a star, right? I believe, and then under the default namespace in cluster one. So I'm just gonna. I don't think I have to do that dash namespace dash in. But I'll just see if it matters. If it tells me it's wrong, doesn't like that. Wait, wait, huh? So let's actually check this out and get a look at it. So um k get cluster role, and then I'm gonna do output YAML. So I'm asking just to see, show me what it's showing. So the API groups, right? So on all resources, so all resources, all verbs, and then under the API group, the core API group. Let me just search this up. I don't know if I'm wrong, right or wrong on this one. I think someone said something in the chat. I got a drop as well. Please send a recording. Yep, I got you. No worries. I'll drop the recording. You won't miss anything, I promise. And I'm going to continue recording up to the 20 questions as well. I don't know if I should. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter. And I'll show the results of what we got right and wrong and stuff. So core API. Let me see core API. What do I search? Core API cluster. I don't even know what's going to come up on this. Core. Okay, so the core API group is just the dash dash. So yep. So I think we're good on that. So that's fine. And that's how you check your work, Now we got to create a cluster row binding. So create. So cluster row binding. And then cluster row binding is going to be called this, right? And then we need to bind to pink row. So you just put tab, right? And it's going to say cluster row. So we just created a cluster row here. And then now I need to do the namespace, the service account. So the service account is going to be dash dash service account is equal to default, which is going to be the namespace that we're in. So we're in a default namespace and the name of the actual service account. So I think that's it, right? So most important thing here is we need to do, we have to check this, right? So we need to do a K auth and I get pods dash dash as service account. And then we need to do the namespace. So it's default and then the name of the actual service account. This is how you check does this person have that permission, right? So it says no. So I do something wrong as kubectl auth, it's row binding, API groups, resources. I should have permission to do all of this stuff. Right? Is it get is pods? Can I this pods? Oh, so, no, I can't. Dash dash namespace. Let me know. I know why. The cluster row says full permissions on all resources in the core API group under the default namespace in cluster one. Finally, create a cluster row. But this is how you check it, right? So, as you can always do this, can I? I just do can I, and then you'll see like where I got this from, and I just do dash dash as, right? So this is the one here that I was trying to do. So like first, so you do k auth can I list pods. So what can you do? And then the namespace, you can specify the namespace. But this is what I did. As system, did I do system service account? I think I did. Oh no, I didn't. That's why it didn't work. There we go. Now you can see we can do that. I was wondering why it was saying something was wrong, but that's all you got. Always got to double check. So you create your service accounts, you create your permissions. It seems like a whole lot at first, but you do this like 10 times, literally, and you'll be okay with it. So, and you still make mistakes like I did. So always reference I missed the system part here. But yeah, that verifies that we are able to we did the permissions correctly. So I'm feeling comfortable with that one. Did anyone have any questions on this one? Did I go too fast or any gray areas on this one?
I got a question. Is it Patrick?
Yeah, it's Patrick.
Patrick, is Desiree. On the test, do you have access to the Kubernetes documentation?
Yes, you do.
Oh, that is nice. Okay.
Yes, it is. And the most important thing is how to navigate through it because yes, every minute counts. So yeah, it's really good to have, but it's not worth you having to double check every answer. So you want to make sure that you're as equipped as possible without using documentation. But being in the need of like, okay, you don't know this and you're trying to get this one right and you don't want to skip it. which you probably should if you take you a little bit longer. But nonetheless, it's a very handy tool, but it can be yeah, you may get the answers right, but you may not be able to finish in time too. So it's all about the time, controlling your time and being able to manage it. So, but yeah, you're able to access it. I think that's the only thing you can have open as far as the official Kubernetes documentation. But great
Yeah,
question.
that's really nice because in my case, like I tend to forget some of these like really granular things, and just
Hmm.
knowing how to find it that would help
Yeah,
during
knowing
the
how to find
testing.
it fast. And another important thing with that is like, for example, say we're trying to do something like a persistent volume, um, just the persistent ball, right? Like you want to be able to find like this stuff, right? So I always recommend this: do kind and then space persistent volume, right? So it's gonna also show the persistent volume claims, but whatever. But you always go here, and then you can like quickly like skim through this whole thing and find whatever you're looking for a lot faster. So, okay, I know for sure I can just use this, copy this here real quick, put it in a YAML file, and edit it as I need as far as for that question. So you're not like scrolling. Like you can literally just do kind, and it's automatically going to tell you, okay, if I'm looking for a pod, okay, let me just do pod, but you want to do kind space pod or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then now you got everything that you need for the pod, so it's a lot quicker to skim through. So you got to know these type of these shortcuts to still taking advantage of the documentation, but like doing it really quick, which is the most important thing. But yeah, so we're gonna move on to this one. I'm gonna probably do up to 10 questions, and then you know what, I feel like I should record the whole thing. I'm gonna do the whole thing, and then you guys can like watch it later. So but it's gonna be a pretty long video. So
Thanks, PJ.
so
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and drop. I'm
okay.
sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to
No,
say
you're
thank
good.
you for allowing me to join this, and everyone have a good evening.
For sure. No worries. But yeah, thanks for joining. And yeah, it's just gonna be just me and you. Is it Desiree? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name.
That's
Desire.
correct.
Oh, Desiree. Okay,
That's
cool, cool,
right.
cool. Whenever you need to leave, Desiree, it's fine. I'm still gonna record it regardless and still talk through it. So, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, we can go ahead and as far as knock this one out together. Um, and yeah, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So yeah, so the next question is we're actually doing troubleshooting steps now. So this one is where it kind of gets interesting. So we have a pod called Nginx. It's running default namespace. There's a container called Nginx container running inside this pod that uses the image Nginx latest. There's another sidecar container called logs that runs in this pod. And for some reason, this pod is continuously crashing. Make sure that the pod is in a running state. So let's get pods first. Okay, get pods, right? So it says crash loop back off. So it says 0 out of 2. So they're both not working. So when there's a crash loop back off, let's just see if there's any logs. I doubt it because it didn't get to create, but let's see if it shows us anything. It's an idea of what may be wrong with this container or this pod, right? Okay, a container name must be specified. Oh yeah, it's two of them in there, right? So we got to do minus C, but I don't remember. I don't know what the name of the pod is, right? So let's just do this. Okay, describe pod. And we can just find the names of them here, and we can actually look at the error codes down here too. So it says something with pulling an image. It says fail to pull image Nginx LATST. So that means that the image name is wrong on one of those pods, on one of those here. So let's go ahead and just edit this pod first. Let's edit it. So edit pod. And first things first, here we see that it says Nginx LATEST. So let me just type in I, and we can do that here. Let's just, I just want to throw X, edit it. I'm sure it's still probably going to give us some issues, but let's see. The name of that pod was what? Nginx container. Okay, so klogs minus C. Okay, and what was the other one named? The other one is named, um, logs container. So let's see. I think can't open var log httpd access, right? So I'm going to go ahead and edit this pod again. And the reason why I can't open an httpd file is because it doesn't exist. The volume out here showing it's a varlog nginx volume. So this is nginx, and this is saying httpd. So I'm going to go ahead and do I, and then we need to do nginx and nginx, just nginx, and so see the mount path show nginx there. Anything else that shows httpd, those are two separate things. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and let's go ahead and replace this pod because we made significant changes. Dash force, it's F, and then the name of the file, the new file, which is showing our changes that we made. And it still may not do what it needs to do. So let's do a get pods and let's see what happened. Okay. They're showing fine now. So both of these pods are not working because it's now able to find the file. Because yeah, I said it couldn't find this. So we needed to change it from HTTPD to Nginx. And the only reason why I knew that was because the original pod was an Nginx pod. So it was an Nginx server. So it would need to go here, varlog Nginx. So that one is pretty much answered. So we move on to the next question. Oh, wait, actually, no. For some reason this pod is running, so we should be able to do this on the control plane of node of cluster one. So let's actually get nodes. Wait, get nodes. So I'm gonna SSH into this one and then run this command. It work. Doesn't. Okay, so that means we need to do some more work. So I need to look at the service that this is running on. So K get SVC. Right, and services probably this one, right? Using node port. All right, so let's actually see if it's connected to an endpoint. And as we see here, there's no endpoint, which means that there's no pod that is connecting to this service. So whenever we're trying to hit this endpoint here, there's no services behind it. So it's pretty much that's why I'm saying we're a connection refused. So what we need to do is do this K get pods, right? Dash show labels. What I'm going to do is here, we need to make sure that this label for this Nginx container or pod matches so it's able to service, it's able to connect to the Nginx service there. So let's go ahead and edit that service. So kubectl edit SVC, and that service is going to be Nginx. And if we go down here, I want to show you something. So what it does to select a certain pod, it uses the selector or the things here. But look, you see here, the selector is not Nginx app CKA01, right? It's showing HTTPD. So let me go ahead and correct that. So this and this, delete this. So now this. So now this service is actually looking for the pod that matches app Nginx app CKA. So now remember before the endpoint said nothing. Now if we go to kubectl get endpoints, as we see here now, it's bound to that IP address. And we can even triple check that by doing a k get pod Nginx. And then I can do dash dash, I can do O wide to get the actual IP. An IP is going to match that. So that IP address is here. And as you see, 10.50.64.2 and 80. So now let's go back and SSH into that cluster And remember, we ran that command and it didn't work. But now look, welcome to Nginx. So boom. So now we're done. The website is now accessible. So hopefully that was kind of a long way, but did that make sense for you, Desiree? That was probably a lot. So
Yeah, you did, man. I really appreciate it. This is dope.
yeah, this is pretty fun. It gets very interesting. These are really hard questions. I'm not gonna lie. These are like this is not the first time I've saw this, and that's why I'm a little bit more comfortable with it. But trust me, day one or whatever, like it's very, very like it can be very overwhelming. So, and this is where I want people to understand repetition is key. I do these exams like I try to do at least one or two a day, and it takes like a few hours. And yeah, I've got an hour left, but it's okay.
Do they
So
randomize it when you take those tests through
yeah, they're
Code
different
Cloud?
questions. They have them in the same format of as far as like the troubleshooting is like after a certain amount of questions, and then the next one is going to be scheduling, and then the next one is going to be like storage, and then the final one is usually going to be networking stuff. But they're all like different questions, but the same type of questions like that you'll see in exam.
Yeah,
Exam.
that's
This
dope,
is
man.
really good. Cloud is
Just to
good.
give you a little bit of context real quick, I just started out on the Kubernetes stuff. Just got through
Oh.
the core concepts. So this is amazing, man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and remember, you come as you are. So don't feel you need to be an expert in this. Trust me. A month ago in my videos, like when we were doing the videos, I really didn't know much of this. So this is just breeding confidence for all of us to do this. So, want to make sure that we all come and show up and study together and ask those questions that you may not want to ask Chat GPT. You want to actually speak to a person about it is the best way to go, in my opinion. So yeah, welcome. I try to do it every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, just keep me abreast to it and honest, and more people to come and more comfortable. I feel like showing up. Sometimes it's just two people, like just me and you now. I'm still gonna show up, as far as if it's even no one here. So yeah, I love it. And if you have any suggestions or any things that you have like any particular problems with and you want to discuss it, feel free to put it in the actual, I don't know if you're in the chat, you more than likely you are, but if you aren't, join the mess. We have a group chat in the, it's called Learning Kubernetes or something like that.
Yeah,
um
I'm in there.
you're in there, yeah, so drop your questions in there, so we if you want, we can like get questions specifically for certain topics that you want to probably go over. So
Yeah,
good
I got
stuff.
one for you, man. I'll
Mhm.
reach out after this.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely don't hesitate. So yeah, let's go ahead and answer this one here now. And the blue deployment has having 0 out of 1 pods running. Fix the issue to make sure that the pod is up and running. So it says it's not running. So let's see what's going on. So okay, get pods. Let's just see what we have. So first sign, crash loop back off. And it's saying when it says init, that means that there's an init container there, which is just an initializing container, which pretty much is it goes before the main container. It runs its checks and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna automatically just jump into this pod to this container. Not container, but the deployment. So K-edit deployment and then blue, right? So we're looking for the init container. So I can just do a in and it should bring me right there, right? Okay, so we're in containers. So I already see what the problem is. So init containers, the command shell echo welcome, right? But when you're doing this, you need to do you can get minus C in there, which is the dash minus C for command. So use a shell, but the command is going to be echo welcome. So you need to have that minus C. Well, not minus, but the C in there to work. Well, actually, it doesn't need to be a minus C. Um, so minus C, and that's just gonna do the command. So let's just see what happens now. Probably still gonna throw errors. So now it says pod. So it went from init crash loop back off to pod initializing, which is a better sign, right? Now there's a new error, run container error. So is a pod gonna give us any details? Okay, scribe pod blue. Let's see if it gives us any details. Okay, so it says error failed to create a container to create container D task. Okay, error mounting config map nginx config through fs at cc nginx nginx.conf mount variable kubelet pod. Okay, so something related to this Nginx, right? So let's view this again. The deployment. I think the problem here is this mount path. I don't think there's a Nginx conf file. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna delete that because I don't think that file really exists. So let's do another git pods and let's see what happens now. So it's trying it again now. Let me do a -w to watch it. See if it's running now. Cause yeah, Nginx. This is probably gonna be something related to that. So it was looking for this, but it didn't exist. It's Etsy Nginx.com. That's what it is, right? So now it's updated and we're looking good here. So I do a git deploy, blue, right? It should say 1 out of 1. So now it's up to date and it's running. So we fixed that one there. So that was a easier. I wouldn't say easier because if you don't know that one, it's gonna be like you're gonna be stuck on it. But just look at it's always trying to give you clues as far as what the problem is. And if I couldn't find it in there, I would have did a kubectl get events, and then I would have piped it to a grep -I, and then grep is just gonna pull and look for characters. So make sure you use grep is really helpful when you're trying to like sort and filter through stuff. And I would have did grep -I, look for this word, this keyword, and this keyword would have been the name of that deployment. I think it was like blue or something. And you can also grep that into a error or something. So, or warning. I think it's warning. And oh wait, and the -I is in case insensitives because if it will look for warning only in the lowercase if I don't do the -I. And as you see, this was 2 minutes ago, but it would have told me the error as well. So there's either through the pod you can get the error, or you can get the errors through the kubectl get events command, which is very helpful. So yeah, you still with me? You're there still. Okay, cool. All right. So the next one is there's a deployment called Nginx, which has been used to deploy a static website. The access to this website can be tested. However, it's not working at the moment. So we're having issues with curling and getting here, right? It says failed to connect. And there's a deployment call here. So let me do a get deploy. And then the name of that deployment. And it says that it's not ready. So something's wrong with this deployment. So do a get pods. Let's see if it gives us anything. EP. So it says container creating and it's just waiting there, right? So let's do a kubectl get describe it. Describe pod Nginx EP. Problem are we having? So it says it's trying to create. So it's something related to more than likely like a volume or something that it can't find, like a persistent volume or something. So I think this is actually related to a volume, unattached volumes, waiting, failed to mount. So it's something with this config map. So a config map named Nginx configuration is not found. So we need to do is the get config map, get cm, and it's going to not exist because it just told us that, right? So let's see what actually exists as far as the current config maps we have. So we have a config map named Nginx config CKA 04 TRB, right? So what I can do is let me change this here. I'm going to change it in a deployment. So I'm going to do edit deploy. And it's called Nginx, right? And then let's look for this config. Okay. Anyway, so looking for the config map here, right here. So this is what it's looking for as far as to mount this volume, but it doesn't exist. So it's having trouble. It's having trouble doing it. You know what? So the config map is named.
The difference was the instead of configuration, we had config.
Yep. Wait, is this the right one?
I think it's the one above it.
Yep. Let me do this. Undo. So we're gonna. Well, this is a thing. Okay, this is a volume, right? Config map name. I'm saying two names. So said it couldn't find that name. So this is where sometimes I get confused too. So volume mount, this name, config volume, that's fine. Okay. It's this one though. It's this one I need to change. And path, and then just use this name. Names. I want to try it, but I don't know. Let's see if it. Let's see if it spins up another one or tries to. It's an interesting one. Kind of stumped on that one. So this one is not doing anything. So to stuck on terminating. So I think that was it. Big map. See configuration was not found. Failed to mount the volume. So wait a minute. So what I can do here is to speed this up. I can do a K scale image in next DP. Backslash replicas equals 0. And just put it on 1 to make it like forcibly 5. Okay, so this one says running now. Mounted fine. So that was correct. You got it right. But it still says we need to do a curl to confirm our answer. Welcome to KokeKloud. There we go. So it now works. So yep, that's good. So that was a good one. Only want to work 1 point though. That sucks. Okay. All right. So moving on. But good catch though. Good catch. All right. So number 9.
I dropped there for the last minute. It was just that config.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah, I ended up doing a scale to 0 and then back to 1. So because looks like it was terminating a pod and it took forever. So I just made it remove all pods and then scale up to 1 again. So it was going to spin up a brand new one for us with the new configuration. And then it ended up showing that it was working, and I was able to curl, so it ended up working there. So that worked. Okay. So it says it appears that the black deployment in cluster 1 isn't up to date. While listing deployments, we're currently seeing 0 under the up to date section for deployment. Troubleshoot, fix, and make sure that its deployment is up to date. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really done this one too much. So okay, get deploy with up to date is 0. I think it was like cube CTO, is it rollout? Is it resume? Back? Resumed? Okay. Let's see what happens now. Let's say yes, up to date. Okay, cool. I didn't remember that one, but I guess I did sort of. So it's just saying I guess there was a part of a rollout, and it was paused or something, and then now we just went ahead and resumed it. So now it's confirming that that pod is now officially up to date with the new like rollout, the new changes that we made to that deployment. So that was a good one. I haven't ever gotten that question before. Cool. All right, awesome. So the next things here. All right, so for this question, set the context of cluster 4. All right, and the ping deployment was scaled to 2 replicas. However, the current replicas are still 1. Troubleshoot and fix to make sure the current count is equal to the desired count. Okay. So K get deploy. The ping deployment was scaled to 2 replicas. However, the replica is still 1. So I need to get K get replicas, I think, replica sets. So K get RS, desired 1, current 1. Okay. So I want to do a, I want to investigate get pods namespace cube system. And let's see. So there's an error with this controller, cube controller. So let me SSH into this pod here and investigate this cube controller manager. So we need to go ahead and do a VI. So I'm just gonna automatically go to etc Kubernetes manifest. And then it's going to be the cube controller. Let's see what's in here that's a little odd. Anything strange? See, CA search. Okay. I don't see anything off the bat that looks odd. So what I would need to do, it says crash loop back off. So let's do a okay. Describe the pod. Okay, so I'm saying here, container image, warning, failed to create container task, failed to create shown, enable to start container process, exec cube CTL manage. Okay, not found in path. So let's go back to this file and look for this cube. So it's in typo here. Cube manager. Let's see if that gets us working. Okay. And I know, I think. Is it? No, not exit. Oh crap. Let me yeah, I can exit this. I'm in a cluster. The other command, okay, get pods. Now we can see that the controller manager control plane. So the reason why I went to here was because this is what controls the like the replica sets. This is what manages that, making sure that the desired state is matching what the replica set is saying. So that controls spinning those additional pods up and making sure everything is right there. So let's do a get replica set. And now before it was just 1 out of 1, and now it's 2 out of 2. So the desired count is now equal to the current amount. So hopefully that was something that you learned there. You just got to know where to look because there's so many places to look. They can get overwhelming sometimes. But yeah, I know you're kind of like in the beginning phase, so there's probably just a lot of stuff. But trust me, Once you start reading more and doing more labs and stuff, you're gonna definitely see, okay, yeah, this all makes sense. So it's a good remember your moments now, and then they'll be far in between, I'm sure. So we recently
You're doing
deployed
a
it.
good job. You're doing a good job just explaining it. I'm keeping up.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's the most important thing. I don't want to start talking and like it doesn't make any sense to anyone. So, thank you for that feedback. Awesome. So it shows here. So we recently deployed a daemon set called logs under the cube system namespace in cluster 2 for collecting logs, including the control plane one. At the moment, a daemon set is not creating any pod on a control plane node. So first things first is probably going to be there's something related to a taint and a toleration. So a taint is something that you can put on a node to say, um, I only want pods to be scheduled on me if you follow these particular if you have this particular label or something like that on that pod. So if that pod doesn't have the specific toleration to accept that taint that the node has, is not going to get scheduled on that node at all. So let's go ahead and first look at. So I want to do a kget nodes because I want to see what taints this has. So kget nodes, um, cluster to control plane, right? And do a grep. Remember that grep command, grep minus I, and I'm looking for taints. So let me do a grep minus C first. So that's just saying 5 lines above, 5 lines below this keyword, which is going to be taint. Oh, you know why? Let me do output YAML. It's just going to do the standard output YAML. Okay. So the taint, in order for it to happen, it needs to have both of these. It needs to have a toleration for this node role Kubernetes master and the node role Kubernetes IO control plane. So I can go ahead and k-edit daemon set logs. Well, let me just do it. It says it's under the kube system namespace in cluster 2. Um, so kn minus namespace edit yes logs, right? So we need to go down here and look for tolerations. Even has a toleration section. Okay. All right. So it has one of them, has the no schedule master. That's good, but it needs to have both. It needs to tolerate both of those in order for it to do it. So I'm going to do a shift V as in Victor, down, and I'm going to do a Y for Yank. Just put P, so it's going to be under the operator. Because I know I'm going to save this, but I know it was like control plane or something. Oh, wait, me that part. Okay, right? Plane or something. But I don't think that's correct, but always can double check. So it was control dash plane. So let's go back here and do control dash plane. And that should meet all of the requirements for this for this daemon set to be able to run on here. So let's see. I'm not sure if did a get daemon set before we did it, but get daemon set minus namespace cube system, and then um so we can see what nodes are actually on there. Um okay, so let me do the actual one that we did so it shows looks okay. So now it says it has two of them, right? And they are, you know what? I can just do KGet pods. I'm sorry. KGet pods minus namespace cube system. Then I'm gonna name it logs, and then okay, so we already have two, so we already know that that looks good. Right, and then dash OY. So as you see now, so we have one on there running cluster 2 node 1, as well as now the control plane. So the control plane is now able to have that daemon set running because we added that toleration. So now the node met all the specifications for, I mean the container or the daemon set met all the requirements for the control plane. So now it's going to show, hey, now you can go ahead and actually get scheduled on me because you accepted all of my, you're tolerating all of my my taints. So that's a great way to see that. And daemon sets is just a way to you can have a certain pod like deploy on every type of node, like every type of pod. You want it to, well, on every type of node, sorry. So every node, hey, I need to have this running, and it can be something like a log aggregator or something like that. So you can capture your logs and stuff. That's what they're typically used for. Okay, so on cluster 3, there's a web application or a pod running inside a default namespace. Which part of the deployment called here, and make this environment available. I can change constantly. Add this environment available to a config map and configure the pod to deployment and make use of this config map. Okay, so we just need to create a config map. So we know K create config map CM. Let me name that, and I can do dash dash from literal, and we're just gonna do from literal equals this. It's already given us like majority of what we have to do. So K get config map web and dash full, and it will show us. So the config map has a key of app color, and then the value is going to be red. So now we need to go ahead and update this deployment to use this environmental variable. So I'm going to actually use the documentation on this one. So a edit deployment, and then instead of it using this, the value from or something, but I'm going to delete this. So let's go ahead and search this one. So it would be a config map variable, right? So configure pod to use a config map. So I'm going to do variable spell. So let's see here. All right. So here we go. So we need to use this one, value from config map. All right. So I'm just going to copy this whole thing here. All right. And paste. So now we need to do this. So value from, so the config map key reference. So we need to update this config map key name to the configuration map, the config map that we just created. So it's looking for that one. So we need to go ahead and copy this and paste it in here so it knows the config map that we're looking for. Now the key, remember I said we mentioned something about the key? The key is actually app color, right? And if I just put that in there, app color, and remember in this pod, it's actually looking for that app color somewhere in here, I'm sure. Go up here. Be using this somewhere. Okay, it doesn't show it, but this variable, if I do like an env, if I log into this container, is going to show me that, hey, this is already set as a variable, and that's essentially what we're doing. So I'm
Question.
going.
Because just knowing how key values work, the
Yeah.
key wouldn't be. No, it would be app color. For a second, I had it backwards, but yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. So the key, the value, so within a container itself is that, and then within the config map, it's this as well. Sometimes they can be different, but it's looking the value that it's trying to get this from is this key. So it has to be exist and it has to be exactly like that. So yep. So now that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Probably gonna oh, I didn't give us any error. Okay, that's beautiful. So now to check this, it says delete and recreate it. It didn't need me to recreate it. Um Let me do okay, get pods. Let me just take a look because it may need to. Oh, okay, it recreated a new one. So it deleted this old one and it created this new one. And to double check, we always got to double check. So we do the kexec command minus IT and the pod and then dash dash. I'm going to do env, log into it. And we should be able to see what does it say? App color red. So now it's part of the environment variable. We can change that to whatever, but we use the config map to set this environment variable to red. So does that make sense?
That's dope.
Yep, that's good. So that's good questions there. They're giving us some good questions on this one. This is a pretty good one. Cool. So we're almost there at the finish line. So not too much longer. I actually got 35 minutes. So whatever we can finish here, we'll finish. So we have deployed a simple web application called Front End on cluster one. The version of this application has some issues for a security point of view. Update the image and wait for the application to fully deploy. Okay. All right. So first off, we can just do a curl here and we can see what it's showing up as. Hello from front end, right? Version one. So I need to first get the, it says I need to be updated version 2. So I need to actually get the image that is currently in this version so I can upgrade it, right? So kget um, deploy front end YAML, and it says here, okay, so the container image is this. All right. And it says that we need to update it, and we have to use an imperative command. So we need to update the image to KokeKloud Web version 2. All right, and what is the name of this container? Simple web app. So I need to remember those two things. Simple web app. So what I can do is you can do a k set image, and that's going to be on a deployment. Is named front end, right? And I need to do the name of the pod, the name of the container. So it's named simple web app. So simple web app, and then I can do this. I think it's equal. Get them mixed up sometimes, but it needs to equal v2, right? So I need to upgrade it to version 2. So that is going to be v2. So kubectl set the image of the deployment named front end, and within that, the container I'm going to be changing is going to be the container named simple web app, and now that image should be set to code cloud web app color version 2. All right. So remember when we did it before, it showed us this is version 1. So now with that change, and we had to do it imperatively, which means we have to do it from the command line, and we can't go in there and just edit it to version 2, which would have been the easier way. So it said specifically we had to use imperative command. So let's actually do a curl now and see what happens. And see there, now it's showing up as application version v2. So that's that question there. So that was a quick one. So that one was good. So we just first had to figure out first off what is the current image that it's set to in order for us to change it to version 2. And then we need to make sure that we were using the right container name in that command. So hopefully that was good. This is where it starts to get challenging when we get to the what's your names? The storage is not my best thing, and the networking is probably my worst, but we'll get there. So it says create a deployment called app w101. So create deployment, name of the deployment, and then the dash dash image is equal to engine. He said some errors. Okay. So we created that. Now it says scale the application pods to 2. So to do that, when you do K scale limit, limit name app, and then dash dash replicas equal to 2. What is that?
And
So
question, when it's worded like that, you can't just create one that's already has 2 replicas. You have to scale it.
well, it says scale. So that's what I take that as, because it says create a deployment using Nginx image, and then it says and scale the application pods to 2. So by default, if you just create a deployment, it's just going to be 1. But you can do the K create deployment apps image and then dash dash replicas equals 2. But I don't know if that's what they're looking for, because it says scale. So I think it's trying to see if we can actually, if we know how to scale a deployment if it's already been created.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the it's it's ambiguous. So I rather doing it this way, um, just to be sure, But yes, you can definitely scale. You can actually, set the amount that you want the deployment to automatically have by default without having to do the scale option. But I think it's looking specifically if you know how to scale
So it
that.
actually checks how you're getting to the end result. Like I had a similar question on the earlier one where it
Yeah.
asked for imperative command. Could you have changed in the YAML and then just have it done that way? Could you have it just edited it? But you're saying
Yeah, I think
it might actually be checking how you get there.
Yeah, I think it's because it's if it specifically says use that command. And again, I don't know how specific they are in the official exam, but in the test here, how they're going to be checking it is if we do it that way on this in this platform. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, so it's always really good to make sure of that. So great question though. But we're almost done. We got like 5 more questions. So yeah, we're good. We're doing good on time. So create a storage class with the name banana. Okay, let's do that. So I don't know storage classes by heart like that. So let's see storage classes, right? So remember, you can do kind storage class, and then first thing that comes up. Let me just up here, and I'll just copy everything here, and then I'm going to do a VI. What number is this? 15. Yeah. So first thing is the name, right? So name here, provisioner. See, they give us most of the stuff here, which is good on this type of question. We just need to just copy and paste everything just matching up here. Parameters, it doesn't say anything about that, so we don't need that. I'm gonna delete this, and then the reclaim policy, I'll leave it at retain. Allowed volume expansion should be enabled. That looks good, but we do need to change the volume binding mode to wait for first class. So wait for first consumer. Sorry. So let's go ahead and add in there. But that looks good. So we named it banana SC. Provisioner. You got a provisioner, no provisioner. Volume binding mode, wait for consumer. Volume expansion enabled is true. And then amount options. I delete this too. It doesn't necessarily say we need that. So only give it what it asks for. So we're gonna save that, and then we can do okay kubectl create, and then -f for the file, and then we're gonna aim for the 15 YAML, and source class has been created. So okay, get see, and there it goes. Perfect. That looks good to me. Okay, so this is probably where it gets a little interesting. If this thing says something about it needs to be a specific. Oh wait. All right. So let's see. It doesn't pick me in a but so we want to deploy a Python-based application on the cluster using this template here. However, before you proceed, we want to make some modifications on the YAML file as given below. The YAML should also contain a persistent volume claim with the name Olive PVC to claim 100 megabyte storage Olive PV. Update the deployment to add a sidecar container, which can use a BusyBox image. Share the Python data volume with the container and mount the same path on at the same path. Make sure this container only has read permissions on this volume. Finally, create a pod using this YAML. Make sure this pod is running. Holy crap! So this is a lot. Um,
Yeah, I'm lost.
shoot. Yeah, this one is a whole lot, bro. Um, let's see. Let's just see what we are started with. Containers, Python. So it just has that one. Okay, volumes. Okay, so let's just do this one by one. First thing I'm gonna do is Shift V. Ink it. E pasted. Okay. It says that it wants us to add a deployment and add a sidecar container. So name this one sidecar, and then it's busy box image, busy box image. Okay. We do need to do a some payments here. Do a sleep command. Oh, this is a discussion, so no, I can't use that one. I can only use here command and arguments. So come on. So I can do this, but it's just unnecessary. But okay. Set paste. Be quite honest, I can probably just do sleep. Sleep 3,000 or something like 3,600. I don't know. It might give me a problem, but we'll see. All right, so deployment would use a busy box. Finally create animal partners in a running state. So I don't know if this will work, but whatever. All right, so let's actually see. It says we need to create a PV persistent volume, but let me see if we have that already. It's using the olive, so we need to create a persistent volume claim with all of these requirements, right? So let's do a PVC volume, the kind persistent volume claim. So it's that, right? So it says the YAML should also contain a persistent volume claim. So now I need to do this. It's pretty much saying I need to add this requirement in there. So the persistent volume claim name is this name. Access code is 100 MI. Read write once. I need to double check that, but storage from this in volume is probably gonna be the needs MI. Good MI. Now I need to actually go back and look at this. Was rewrite execute and then a storage class name. So this needs to match. Storage class name, read write execute. So it's actually it's a read write many. That's what that X means. So read write many. Then a volume mode. What was a volume mode? A file is file system. So I need to make sure that system. This one is just going to take a whole lot of steps. Um, and it says here, make sure this container only has read permissions on this volume. Read permissions. Read only. Okay. Read only will be true. But what is this? Percent of volume claim read only true. Source. So this is another thing that you can do. Let me do this. You do kubectl explain, and then persistent volume spec, and then we're looking for, what was it, like permissions? It was source. Is there a source option? Mm. Spec. Let me see if there's another read only option. But this is how you can use the explain to tell, okay, read only. Let me read right. Read only many. So it has to be read only. Okay, read only false, but FC. This is weird. I'm probably gonna get this one wrong, but okay. This one. Okay. But let's see what else we need on here. So let me just double check one last thing. All of PVC to claim using this claim name. So I think that's already right. All of PVC K8's So that's right. It's good. File system rewrite many. Storage. Read only. Okay. I'm gonna give it a try and see if it works. Okay, create F. Let's see what errors we get if we get any. 31. Line 31, 31, 31. So you can do this by set NU. We can see there. So 31 is, it doesn't like the args. Name, image, busy box, sleep. All right. So just button. Let's see. Get PV. Didn't bind because I didn't put the storage class. I'm gonna do a K delete, right?
This isn't something that we could just edit.
Yeah. Well, no, not this one. I'm gonna just do K delete this, and then I'll show you what I can do. Of course. Okay. So let me edit this file here. That persistent volume needs to have the storage class name. You have that in a spec, and I did not have that in there. So I'll just add that right under spec. Storage class name is going to be, what the storage class name was this. So back down here. We want to try this. I know it's gonna probably say it's not. It's not gonna work. So let's try. See now it says bound because it was able to connect to the it was able to find a storage class because that has to match for it to bind. Um, let's see if the pod. Okay, so it's saying it's a crash loop back off. Okay, let's see what happened now. So K describe this pod olive. And let's see what happened because one of them were good. Sleep was not found. So is something wrong with this damn command? Okay. Um, do this command. You know what? Quick way to do something like this is to let me just do a K run pod, whatever dash f image. It's busy box. But okay, I didn't run the 3600. Okay, I'll just run it like this. So now it's here args. Okay. Okay. The QTT replace, and I'll just replace it.
I
Key.
think that indentation was off a bit.
Yep, it is. Wait, is it gonna be image args? Wait,
We wanted 2 spaces back.
this one right here.
Yeah, so it will start under the A.
The A.
Yep.
Let's see. Line 31. What is line 31? Oh, 31. Busy box args. Okay. Let me see. Okay, under containers. Okay, so containers and is args. Okay, I think I see it.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of backspace to here. Okay, you know what it is? It's I don't need the. There we go.
Good
Yeah, go
stuff.
ahead. Yeah, see those small little things is just a pain in the butt. But good catch though. So, but you see what I did? I just like said forget it. I'm just gonna do a dry run and then see how the syntax is,
Yeah.
and I just in my pod here. So that's a quick way to do it. This thing's probably gonna take forever. Shoot, I don't know. I might end it here, man. Let's see. Let's see if I have any issue with this one on. Ending. I don't like that. Okay, so into a K events. So get events. So we need to be scheduled. Okay, get PV. It's been released. Okay, shit. All right, so what I have to do is I need to delete this one. Okay, delete PV. Because the last time we did it, it automatically like renewed it. So I'm gonna just delete this resource version, all these annotations. Um, showing showing that it's already was claimed. I have node affinity, and then trip on it. X place it. K your replace. F K. Now you see it bound again because I had to
Yep.
remove it, then to add it back. So now the pod shouldn't show impending unless there's another error that we got, but that'll be a better than what we had. Okay, all right. Now all of app is created. So that was a long one, but I needed to freshen up on it. So share the Python volume, same. Make sure the container only has read permissions. This is the only thing that I know that I didn't that I'm a little weary on. But whatever. It's okay. But I think that might be it for me. Kind of tapping out. This is a long session we had today, but yeah, I'm probably gonna end it here. Wait, we got 6 minutes. I can try to finish this one.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it. Let's give it a try. There's a deployment Nginx in cluster 3, which is exposed using that service. Create an ingress resource to load balance incoming traffic. Path type, prefix, and path. Okay, backend service. Backend service 480. SSL redirect is set to false. Oh man. So first off, let me just make sure that K8's those endpoints are actually good for that. Okay, that's good. And the deployment, so the ingress. So I need to get control labels. Oh, get so get the name of the service. So create an ingress resource. Okay, I do I 17.yaml. So you need to go ahead and find an ingress here. Looking for one with SSL. SSL. Um, discussion. It's a blog. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to help us with that. Okay. SSL termination. Okay, we're gonna need that SSL thing, but I guess it's fine. We'll just BI 17.yaml. Anyway. All right, so the ingress name is here. Okay, like ingress class name. It's fine. Service name is gonna be name service. Backend service port is 80. SSL redirect. That's the only thing we need. But path type and prefix and path is gonna be here. So the path needs to be slash class name. I think that's what's an annotation of need here. I don't remember by heart. Target SSL redirect is false. IO redirect. No. Um, man. Okay, data annotation of type string. Cannot marshal boolean. It's this thing. Connect ingress SSL redirect. Should be false. I know I can find it online, but I don't can't really use this. This ingress rule. That is insane. They don't have the SSL redirect. I don't see it anywhere in here. Wait, no. Just froze a new feature being added to the Gateway API. So, on there. So this one, yeah, we're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
answer it, but I'm gonna just DD it anyway. And then if it gave us any other issues, it didn't give us any other issues with that. But um, yeah, that would have been it. But let's see what we get. So it's 15 seconds. Let's just end the exam now. So hopefully we got some answers right. At least you can explain to us what we got wrong. So we got number 4 wrong. Okay. But sometimes they say you get the answer wrong, and I really don't believe it's wrong. It's super weird.
Hmm.
Number 12 wrong. Boom, boom, boom. I think we kind of like stopped wrong there. Number 17 for sure is wrong. I want to definitely check 17 really quick. So everything is good besides this thing here. Yeah, so what was the command to SSL redirect?
Oh,
Oh, I had it
just
too.
the quotes.
The quotes.
Wow.
Okay, so it was that. Okay. And you can always like the good thing with this here, and it did say something about that too. I just didn't understand it. That's crazy. Um, good. That was a good guess, man. Didn't even give you like any options to. X.
You know about Shift ZZ for Vim?
Is it?
Do you know about Shift ZZ?
Oh, I don't. What does that do?
Same thing as your quotation or colon X. I find it
Oh,
easier, and of course it's like a preference thing, but
yeah. Oh
you can
wow, yeah,
try it.
I didn't know that one. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Shift ZZ. I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna rewatch this video. I rewatch all my videos, so um yeah, and I'm curious about why we got number like 4 wrong and stuff. What happened with this one? Target port. And this is the one I took the time on explaining and it didn't. The script is updated, man. I don't know why it showed that, but we have the target, so that's I don't know what they were looking for, but we did that one for sure. Um, config map in your lab name could be different. See, man, like these things I be doing, and it says config map created and a deployment is created. I showed you all the config. We logged into it, so I don't know why that one is showing us wrong. But number 16. I wonder what was wrong. Oh, I know the sidecar created as the only problem with that one was something with the read only permissions that I did not know what it was really meaning by that. How do you do that one? Oh, it's just read only true on a volume mount. So that this is the one thing that I didn't add in there, which is the read only true. Okay, that makes sense. Then number 17, we know. Oh, it still says wrong. Okay, let's see what their file looks like. Prefix, service backend. Oh, this one didn't have the base. Oh. It, I'm gonna try it again just to test again to see what we got. But thank you for being a trooper, man, and sticking in with me this late, man. Um, I'm glad
Oh yeah,
that
man.
you stuck by, man. I would have been still doing it, but it feels good to not be alone doing it. So that's good, man. That's really good. But we got a lot of them right, man. So that feels good. Number 12 is bummer. That config map was created. I know. Read only. I'm gonna remember that. Read only. I don't know why I'm saying this one's still wrong. Ingress is not working. But for the most part, hopefully, we all learned something. Obviously we didn't do the last three, but yeah, it still says 63%, but still good though. Overall, there was a lot of steps in here, and I know like these two questions are like whatever. This is definitely right because I showed you the app color was red in the pod. Just super weird.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's why I say like this exam is very particular, but I'm sure on the official exam it's not gonna be as um they're not gonna be that much of a stickler. I hope not, at least. But that's it for tonight's session. This was our longest session that we did. We went through almost all of the questions here. So hopefully y'all learned something. Thank you again for sticking in, chilling with me, Desiree, and hopefully you learned quite a bit. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna submit the recording on YouTube so you guys should see this. It's kind of late, so maybe tomorrow I'll post it in the chat, and you guys will be able to access it and review it as much as you want. Fast forward, rewind, and go over those particular questions that you're having issues with. But all in all, hope you learned as much as I did tonight. And thank you, and definitely stay tuned for next week, next Wednesday. And again, if you have any questions or any particular topics or subjects you want to cover, let's do it together. And yeah, let's go ahead and tackle this exam together. So thank you, and have a good night.